Okay, so you bought your hardware, you've plugged it in, you've got that box running, you've got the mics running, you've got a basic setup going, and you want to do an interview with somebody straight away across the web, and you just want to get started, right? You don't want to just dwell on it and know all the moving parts. You just want to get into it and get started and then just iterate and get better from there. So one of the services that we use is Zencastr, and this is a fabulous web-based app to be able to do podcasting remotely. So I've used this with Dalio remotely for over 3,500 miles to talk in real time and record our podcast remotely, and it works perfectly, and it's really cheap compared to trying to use other pieces of software. So I'm going to quickly go into my account because we've downgraded this now. We don't use it now for remote stuff. If you look at the plans though, the plans are very cheap. So for a professional, which is probably the package that you're going to want to go for, you can pay $18 a month yearly or $20 a month monthly. You can have unlimited guests, which means you can have as many people. It's probably best to limit that to maybe 4 or 5 people, but if you wanted to, you can have unlimited people in the live interview podcast arena. You can have unlimited recordings, a live editing soundboard, which allows you to play little WAV files or introductions or music within your stream, record in high quality MP3, record in 16-bit 1K waves, and it gives you 10 hours of automatic post-productions per month. So I effectively look at that. If you're doing 1-hour shows, 10 shows a month for $20, so $2 per show, very cheap to get up and running really quickly. So let me quickly show you what one of the calls looks like. So here's one I've created. This was one that we did for Christmas for our Products Sense show. You can see that the waveform at the top is moving. That's me actually logged in. There's a button here on the left hand side so I can mute the mic. So if you have more than one person in here, you can mute them and activate them when you want to talk. So maybe if you're playing the intro. When you have a pro account, along the top here where this hours, minutes and seconds is showing, you also have little boxes where you can click on them and you can add in your audio files, your little WAV files, that maybe your intro or a sting or a music, some musical sounds as you're doing your podcast. So this is a finished podcast, so you wouldn't normally see this post-productions or these solo tracks until the recording's finished, and there's normally a button at the top here that you click on to say record, and then everybody knows that you're on the record. All you have to do to get in a conversation with somebody is share the URL with them. Now once they've got that URL, they end up in the web browser using voice over IP. So it's very crucial that your internet connection, your upload and download speed is running as fast as possible. So always a good idea to reboot your router before you do your podcast. A few other things to check before you get started. There's a little drop down under here. If you hit that, it shows you all of the health check to do with your mic, storage, local backup and cloud backup. So the way this works is it records a local backup on your machine. So it doesn't matter if you have any lag or latency while you're doing your interview. Yes, it might sound bad while you're doing the call, but on the other end, your caller is saving a copy of their audio locally on their machine, and you're doing the same. So that's what these little indicators are, the local backup and the cloud backup. So as you're recording, they're doing a cloud backup in MP3, and they're also doing a local backup in WAV format. So once you've finished your call, you can upload that WAV file, so the clean local backup, and process that. Or if you really need to get something done in a quick fashion, then the cloud backup has already been processing in MP3, and you can just rattle a final mix of that post-production off. So what does that look like? So imagine we've finished the recording. At the bottom here, you've got these solo tracks. So we have a solo WAV file and we have a solo MP3 file. Now at that point, it's really easy to mix it down. Normally you would send all your audio away to a audio editor. With Zencastr, you don't need to do that, so you can really get up to speed quite quickly. So we have an automatic post-production button here. When we hit this, we can either mix together the MP3 or we can mix together the WAV files. Now I tend to go through for the WAV files because they're higher quality, because MP3 is a compression codec, so there is some what's called artifacting on the audio. Now you probably won't notice it very much on average headphones like iPhone headphones, or if you're just listening through it from a phone. But if you're an audiophile and you've got a DSP and you've got good headphones, you might hear some compression artifacting in that sound. So you're better off starting off with your higher quality inputs before you run it through the post-production. Normally you would have somebody do all this mastering for you, but this tool is fantastic and it saves you a lot of time. If you click onto the advanced options, you'll notice that they've got a bunch of different targets for the output of the post-production. So I tend to keep it on -19 LUFS, which is podcasts and mobile. And then underneath you have a leveler, and what a leveler does is, depending on the inputs from both sides, it levels them so that they're the same volume, so you don't get that like noisy drop in when somebody else talks and they're louder than everybody else. It just levels the playing field. Then there's a noise gate. So this is kind of what somebody doing the mastering would normally do, is they would step through the whole piece of audio and they would set a noise gate at different points in the audio track so that you sound better but also reduce that background noise. And then there's also a cross gate, which is like another filter that it runs through just to enhance the sound. So I use all of those three and it makes the podcast sound amazing. And literally after you've done that, once you've run this through and selected, at the bottom it says buy more time. That's because we're not using this anymore. We've resorted to the free one, and we're only not using this anymore because we're recording locally now. But if you run that through, then you get a final mix down in MP3, and you can download that and then upload that to your centralized service, something like Anchor, or you can upload it to a dsound.audio, which is a Steam powered blockchain site for decentralized hosting. So lots of different alternatives, lots of different audiences that can get exposed to that audio. So Zencastr.com, $20 a month. If you want to interview somebody across the web today, this is the way to do it.